Hello, welcome to the Thriving in Love podcast, the podcast that challenges the status quo so couples can thrive as their most authentic selves. I'm your host, Sana, and if you know anything about me, you know that every time I am going through a transformation, I like to bring a version of that offering out into the world to offer you guys the opportunity to grow along with me. So I haven't made a solo episode in 4 months, and so much in my life has changed since then. I'm no longer running Growth Club. Growth Club has closed its doors, its chapter in September, and we had the most incredible gathering on my rooftop with all of my favorite humans who took a chance on this offering that we created, which was for conscious leaders to come together and dive deeper into conversations that went beyond the surface and into the heart of each other. Each month we focused on a theme like creativity or expression or joy or dreams or courage or purpose, and it was so amazing to see the transformations that transpired over the course of the year. So my co-founder Carly and I started hosting events in June 2024, and we just hosted our last event together. Probably not our last event together, but in the container of Growth Club in September of 2025. It's now October, and this summer I have been receiving a lot of guidance and intuitive messages to really double down on my personal lived experience in transformation, which is all about conscious relationships and union within me, between my inner masculine and inner feminine and my inner child, and union with my husband, and honestly with the world around me. I used to have a very strong wound of abandonment. I just never really felt like I belonged in this world. And it's funny because I became a community leader when I quit my job in 2018. We traveled the world for a year. We booked a one-way ticket to Mexico, lived in Mexico City and Merida and a couple other small towns, and then made our way over to Europe, where we stayed in Spain, hopped in between Barcelona and Madrid and Merida and Sevilla and Cordoba and Granada. And then we hopped over to Portugal, where we stayed in Lisbon and Faroes, and then made our way over to Italy, Athens, Greece, Mykonos, and Naxos, and a couple other Greek islands. And then my beautiful friend was getting married in Albania, so her and her family took us all around Albania, and we explored all of the mountains and the beaches, and it was incredible. And then we made our way over to Thailand, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and Phuket for 2 months, and then Vietnam for a month, where we stayed in Saigon. So I don't know if you guys know this, but this year is a year of 9, so 2025. And if you are into numerology at all, we're in a year of 9. If you're into ancient Chinese traditions, we're in the year of the wooden snake, where it's a lot of death and rebirth, a lot of shedding, a lot of conclusions. So it's really funny that our trip in August, we could have gone anywhere we wanted, and we ended up in Thailand and Vietnam, which reminded me of the end of our nomad trip, where I got the first intuitive call to build a community. And now that I have built 2 communities, one in New York and one in LA, it called me back for my next chapter. And my next chapter is to combine everything that I've ever created, from wedding planning in my early 20s to recruiting, finding people that match with the perfect job, to leading community gathering spaces in both New York and LA. So now I'm actually stepping into a new chapter, which is union matchmaking for conscious, self-aware humans who want to connect. I've got the love angle with my wedding planning. I've got the matchmaking angle with my recruiting job. I've got, of course, community building and the network that I have cultivated over the past few years in both New York and LA with human beings who are here for so much more, who have been on a path of personal growth or spiritual evolution or just bettering themselves in health and wellness and fitness and mindfulness. I'm so lucky to have this incredible network of human beings. And now it's time for them to find love, to find union within and with another as well. The reason I'm creating this as well is because my personal love journey with my husband has not been a very traditional love story. It's traditional in the sense that we're married, we're monogamous, and we're very much in love. However, it's nothing like what I thought marriage was going to be. I always was under this impression, and call it conditioning, that marriage meant limiting your freedom, limiting your expression. Your life kind of ends at that point, and then you just live for others. You live for your husband, you live for your kids, you live for your roles and obligations that you have in society. But something really profound happened to me when I came back home from traveling as a nomad back in 2019 that really cracked me open, really made me see the world in a different way, where it wasn't about hustling the most and making the most and partying. I mean, hey, I still enjoy a good glass of wine at dinner and dancing at a club. It's no longer that I'm doing that every weekend, and it's no longer that I'm doing it with just anyone. I'm very intentional now about who I'm spending my time with, who I'm spending my energy with, and who I'm allowing into my inner world. And it's not from a place of like ego, but it really is from a place of, I know my time and energy is extremely precious, so I'm going to be very intentional about how I spend it. And that's kind of what we were creating at Growth Club, where it was people who were learning how to redefine success on their own terms, how to redefine love on their own terms, how to redefine life on their own terms. If you listen to this podcast, it's all about challenging the status quo so we can thrive as our authentic selves. So you know that we're not here to just fit into a box, follow somebody else's script, and live from that place. If you're somebody who is curious about personal growth, spiritual evolution, challenging the status quo, being unconventional in any way, shape, or form, then you know you're here for a bigger purpose. And you can't just fit into a relationship with just anyone. And it takes a really incredibly special human being who can hold both individual purpose and freedom and monogamous, beautiful, soulful love in harmony, where they don't challenge and contradict each other, where you guys aren't butting heads in a power struggle, and instead you understand that sometimes the relationship kind of has to take a back seat in order for our soul to grow and rise. And that's what I did in 2021 when my intuition guided me to live in my own apartment while being happily married. I got my place in Upper East Side and he got his in Upper West, and we had Central Park in the middle. It was so amazing and romantic to have that experience where we got to be two whole individuals who got to live our lives fully in the way we wanted to live, and then share that with each other without codependency. We had a lot of codependency in our first 7 years of marriage, and that experience really helped us heal a lot of our attachment wounds and come back into union as these empowered, renewed, higher versions of ourselves. In the past 4 years since that experiment, we moved back in together in 2022. We have been on this incredible journey of really honoring each other's individuality and also co-creating a life that feels incredibly adventurous for the both of us. And so many of my friends look at our relationship and are just inspired by it because we don't put responsibilities on each other or obligations on each other. We really are two people who do life very differently but respect the heck out of each other fully and completely, and support each other and inspire each other and encourage each other to keep growing into whoever we want to be. We really don't hold each other back. If we ever did hold each other back, it would honestly be the end of our relationship, because our core value for both of us is freedom. If I don't have freedom, I don't believe that there's a reason to be in a relationship. He believes that there's no reason to be in a relationship if we're not adding to each other's lives and if we're subtracting and taking and draining each other's energy. Our relationship has taught me so much. I hope you've gotten some sort of wisdom from our journey, from 80 plus episodes on my podcast. So it's all about finding inner union within, with your inner masculine and inner feminine in harmony. So your ambition and your softness, your intellect and your emotions, your purpose and your desire for connection. And they don't need to be at war with each other. I think that we all have these fragmented parts of us that are contradicting each other, which is why we don't have inner peace. And I think that inner peace is simply when you finally create enough room in your mind, body, soul, nervous system to have all these contradicting parts of you listening to each other and not fighting anymore, but truly holding space for each other. The part of me that is codependent was fighting a lot with the part of me that is a free spirit. So I had that fragmented part of me, which resulted in me wanting to move in my own apartment while being happily married. And at the time, I needed to go to that extreme in order to meet my wild woman, because I didn't feel like a 1-bedroom apartment, working together all the time, going grocery shopping together, worrying about his meals, worrying about him constantly was the environment for me to awaken my wild woman. I needed space to do that. And then we moved back in together, and I really had to integrate my wild woman with my codependent, needy inner child who just wanted to spend all my time with him, and really learn how to create moments in my life where all these parts of me get to have space, so they're not fighting with each other. They know, my wild woman knows, Sunday evenings are my time to be in my space, to take a bath, to dance in my room, to flow, to create, to sew, to paint, be in my feminine. My inner child knows that most evenings during the week, me and him are cuddling on a couch, we're playing with each other, we are picking each other's nose, we're being silly with each other. And then my masculine knows that I'm going to be consistent and devoted to my purpose and not abandon my work that I have to offer the world, my service, because my wild woman wants to have the freedom, or my inner child wants to have the play. So my freedom, my success, and my love all get to coexist together. For me, that's what inner union is. Everyone is different based on what your needs are, based on what your desires are, based on your upbringing and what you didn't get, and based on what you did get and what you need now. So that's what I want to offer through this offering in this container, which is to help people really understand the traditional model of relationships doesn't work for the person who's here to break out of the status quo and birth a new way of being and relating in the world. If you're on a journey of evolution, you're going to get to a point where you finally realize that a relationship isn't my other half here to make me whole. You realize that my only job is to make sure that I'm whole, and then you attract people, opportunities, places, etc. from the place of wholeness. And then most importantly, learning how to communicate all of this to another human being. And we're in a time now where people are evolving beyond transactional relationships. What can I do for you? What can you do for me? And into desiring deeper connections. And that was evident through my journey for the past year with Growth Club, where people gathered and they felt so fulfilled simply by connecting with another human being who's also open-minded, who's also open-hearted, who's also a curious human being. So it's not always about connecting for love and romantic relationships, but even platonic connections these days can be the most profound connections for our journey to our personal growth and ascension. And this is why dating apps are becoming more and more obsolete, because it's so transactional, it's so surface level. You're curating your dating profile in a way that makes you look a certain way, and most of the time there's dissonance between who you show yourself to be on a dating profile versus who you actually are in real life. And if is resonance there, it's still only a very one-sided version of you. It just doesn't work when we are looking to cultivate deep, soulful relationships. And yes, you can go on a date and get to know someone, but then you show up on the date and most of us are wondering, do I look okay? Do they like me? Am I good enough? What do they think about me? And a lot of us are just in our heads and not in a heart space where we're tapping into curiosity. Are we going to enjoy each other's company? Right? Like in our head, we're like, is this the person I'm going to end up with for the rest of my life on your first date? Which is the conditioning that if it's not this person, like I'm wasting time, I'm wasting energy, I don't need to be here, etc. And that closes you off to the possibility of connection. So I'm really hoping for my offering to help people learn how to connect from a place of not needing to perform and not needing to have so much pressure on this first date. I'm going to be hosting dinner parties, which is very similar to the Growth Club model, but with the intention of finding an intimate relationship, whether it is romantic or platonic. I believe the conversation prompts that people are going to dive into are going to help them go from their mind and into their heart space. I had a call yesterday with the founder of the Psychedelic Institute, Paul, and he suggested there to be an option of microdosing some plant medicine to help people drop into their heart space and be more present. Ultimately, I think that society is tired of games. They're tired of performing, and they're tired of all the rules and strategy that is percolating around on social media and on the internet. And we're really looking to just be ourselves and see who resonates with us being ourselves. And love and connection is not more complicated than that. Yes, my husband and I have been on a profound journey together. Ultimately, it came down to how many layers can I let go of that I picked up along the way that were not mine, and return to the truth of who I am and have the courage to share that with him and risk the scary vulnerability and the scary, open, honest expressions and hope for the best, right? That's what the unknown is. And love is a very unknown territory. And if you want to grow and expand beyond your edges, that's where the most growth and expansion happens. I was watching this beautiful lecture today on Plato's Symposium. It's so fascinating to see how these old philosophers thought about love and how they realized that the reason for union can either be to find wholeness, where two halves come together, or to become more whole through the mirror of relationships. And it's interesting because that's what I came to my own conclusions about, is that relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are always mirroring where are we still not free and where can we be invited into greater expansion. So I wrote this little manifesto, if you will, to give you an idea of the energy that I'm cultivating and calling in for union. I'm calling it the path of sacred love. We live in a world obsessed with finding the right person, but few ever ask if they've become the right person to meet love itself. Love isn't a trophy or a finish line, it's an initiation, a mirror that asks, are you ready to truly see yourself fully? To love deeply, you must be willing to meet your grief, your shadows, your unmet longings, because love will eventually reveal them all. The Greeks said love was divine, not because it gives us pleasure, but because it points us toward truth. Capital T, truth. Your lover is not your salvation. They are the spark that awakens your soul. In conscious union, lust becomes awe, attraction becomes remembrance. What begins as chemistry turns into creation. An alchemy of two souls choosing to evolve together. To choose a partner, then, is to choose a mirror through which you'll meet yourself every day. They will see the parts of you you've forgotten, the brilliance you've buried, and the potential you feared. Real partnership isn't about settling down. It's about rising up so high that it terrifies and liberates you all at once. Union is not for those seeking comfort. It's for the ones who know that love is the most radical teacher there is, the one that will strip you of every false identity until all that's left is soul. If you're ready to stop chasing love as an escape and start meeting it as your evolution, welcome to Union. I'm really excited about this. Again, I don't know exactly how it's going to evolve beyond what I know here and now. I have been an entrepreneur my entire career since my 20s, and I always just start and see how things evolve. I started my wedding planning business, did that for 4 years, and I started Friendship Club in New York City, which lasted a couple years. And then I built Growth Club here in LA. I love building communities. I love gatherings. I love bringing people together and watching magic happen. It's not about me being the matchmaker. It's about me being a vessel for God to do the matchmaking. So if that resonates, and if you're ready to meet love differently and date differently and connect differently and just try something new in order to find a love that doesn't just look good on paper, but actually activates and ignites and empowers you on a soul level, I really hope you'll join my database. I am calling in 100 singles in New York and 100 singles in LA, so that we can start the matchmaking process and get the magic flowing. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for my next chapter. And if you guys are birthing new projects or stepping into new versions of yourselves, I'd love to hear how your journey is unfolding. My comment section is a safe space. It's a community space. So please let me know. I read every comment. I'm going to reply to every comment. I want to know how you are evolving as we're all on this insane journey called life. I'll see you guys next time.